What's up, all Berserker Bowl fans? It is your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys chapter 182 of Kengan Omega. Kengan Omega, chapter 182, appropriately titled, I think we can all agree. Right? We can all agree on this beautiful Movember day that, what the hell? What the hell is an accurate term. Now, the community at large, and myself included, I mean, we all knew that this is what was going to happen. Adam was never going to beat Ryuki. However, was this a good fight? Yes. Let's just get that out of the gate. Was this a good fight? Was it the best? A lot of people are in the two discords that I know follow Kengan. A lot of people, from what I read just before reading the chapter myself, and stuff like that, they were saying that this is the best round. I still argue that Salpang versus Cosmo is up there. This would have been the best round had Adam won. Because Adam lost, it can't be the best round. And the reason I tell you that is because it's clear plot armor. Plot armor dampens the coolness of the fight in every respect, okay? Because not only in this chapter we finally get Mukaku Gao. We finally learn who he is and stuff. And honestly, disappointed. Not necessarily character breaking or anything like that, but disappointed. I sort of expected him to not necessarily be Nico, nor be Tiger Nico, but I expected him to be more like the wise old sage at this point. Like this man who tried every, not necessarily like a literal saint, but not necessarily a sinner either. I didn't mind him smoking the cigar and stuff, but his attitude towards it, I just feel, and once again, this is only surface level, this is our first real, other than, of course, Ryuki's memories, this is our first real interaction with the character, so maybe he could be pulling a Nico thing at this point. But I just sort of expected him to be more of this, intense meditation sort of guy, and speaking in, I don't know, speaking in verses, speaking in poems, some Yoda level shit, I sort of expected this guy to have accepted his failings and maybe actually told Ryuki, worms are evil, but never to leave the forest or something like that. I don't know what I necessarily expected, but it wasn't this. So, though it can make sense for the character from what we understand, I'm not the hugest fan so far from the limited interaction with him. He seems sort of just like a less cool Mutaba. If I'm being honest with you, he seems like a less cool Mutaba. He seems like it's a kill or be killed. You're an assassin, not a fighter. You're not a martial artist. You're not a fighter. You're not a boxer. You are a killer. You're an assassin, and your job is to, at the end of the day, use whatever means necessary to done. Right? That is literally what happens here, and that feels cheap coming out of this man. It feels cheap coming out of this man. Maybe that's just me. But anyways, the fight ends the way we all expected, once again, because Adam loses. And though we all expected it, there was a sliver of hope. This is why a lot of people think this round is so good, is because it's apparent that Adam is the far better fighter. That Adam is the stronger fighter and the better fighter overall. And a lot of people went, wow, this is happening way different than we expected it to go. And just because Ryuki pulled out now, mental control. Hold on a minute. Mental control? That's the name of the technique that we're going with. Ryuki is using mental control. Oh, no, sir. Nope. That's either a fucking joke or pun by Sandro, or lazy, I don't know what, but the furthest thing from mental control is this guy. Okay? That's gotta be a pun. That's gotta be a joke, like an inside joke sort of idea, right? That this move to, and by the way, once again, my one problem with this actual fight, this fight was fine up until this chapter. My big problem with the chapter wasn't that Ryuki won it with the Rakshas Palm. We sort of expected it, and I would have liked it better had he been on the ground or something and been trying to say something, and Adam let his guard down, went forward, just like in the flashback. Here's a way better way for this chapter to go, is that just like the Mukaku stuff with the nail, he pulls the same shit with Adam on the ground, and he mumbles and he mumbles and he mumbles. Adam gets closer. Huh? What the fuck you saying? You know? And then, and boom, Rakshas's palm right to the chin, something like that. I would have bought that. That would have been like, all right, you cheap prick. You won that way. There is no rhyme or reason. I don't care about this whole tenacity bullshit. Sorry. It's not main character power-ups. It's not the power of friendship. And this ain't fucking fairy tale, okay? So the fact of the matter is, this whole tenacity thing, while visually appealing, Adam's blows in this fight, in the last chapter, those blows nearly put Ryuki in a coma. Every blow. Every one of Adam's blows nearly put this man into a coma. Now all of a sudden I'm expected to believe that because he went limp because of tenacity, all of a sudden he can tank these blows. Nah, I ain't buying it. I ain't hitting. As I said, Ryuki winning with literally the flashback in this chapter they showed and doing the same bullshit to get the upper hand on Adam would have worked fine. Still would have showcased that Adam's the stronger fighter, which I still believe. Adam's still the stronger fighter, let his guard down, blah, 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 and this bullshit happened. Rather than Ryuki getting random power-up thing, not an advance, not a divine demon, none of this shit, no removal, just, I'm going to kill you now. Which, ironically, once again, he lost in the preliminaries because he's a killer, not a fighter, and now he's beating a top-tier fighter because he's a killer. Make up your fucking mind what your character development is going to be here, okay? Make up your goddamn mind, because seriously, literally in this arc, it was because he's a killer, he's a shitty fighter. Now all of a sudden he's fighting a good fighter, and now because he's a killer, he's a great fighter? What the fuck? That's all I got. What the fuck? Anyway, Oma's pissed again. Toga's pissed, of course. We're going to have the plot armor matchup. I really didn't expect it because Oma never got it. Like, in Kengan Asura, I know some people have argued with me on this, but just hear me out for a second. Oma's greatest, technically, his 3 or 4 rivals in the original series, you could argue, were, and in no particular order, were the Fang, right? Setsuna, fair. Rahito, to a degree, and Hatsumi. He fights none of them. Not a one. Plot, side story B, story arc B, all of that, fuck all of it. He never... Now, technically, yes, he fights Setsuna outside of the main tournament. Fair enough. But outside of that one little asterisk, he never has a rematch with Rahito. He never fights against Hatsumi. Seriously, he spars with him before Hatsumi's kicked out of the tournament, so he never fights the guy who clearly is in a totally different league. Never gets to fight against the Fang, and in the end, the whole Setsuna versus Oma thing, it does happen, but it's outside the main tournament. So your idea of what's going to happen has been totally flipped on its head, and I guess in this Berserker Bowl, though it's not the new Annihilation Tournament, of course, that's coming next arc, from what we understand, I just felt like here was an opportunity for us to see something different, to see the same idea. Not just, oh, well, it's clear the main character has plot armor and has to, win the tournament. And it's clear the rival character who has a beef with him has to make it through. See, the whole thing about gambling and betting on the fighters in the first series, which is what I did, the fun part about it was it completely subverted expectations. There were no MC plot armor bullshit. There were no rules. Anyone could win. And I like that. So, here it feels like Koga almost has to win at this point. Given Koga's easy W in the third, in round 3, which I don't like it. Probably the weakest round. And actually definitely the weakest round. And then Ryuki winning, but not winning in a well-written way. As I said, I already explained in this chapter review. After reading the chapter only like half an hour ago, I can clearly tell you an easier way to write it that Ryuki wins. It's still acceptable, but it works for the character, and it showcases Adam, and it showcases everything. It would have worked fine. So you only literally need to change the last 6 pages. That's it. You don't need to do anything else. And somehow they didn't think of that. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think? Because now that was my review. That was my review. Honestly, didn't really care for the chapter overall. It was a fine chapter, like an average 5, 6 out of 10. You know, if you want a ranking. But not because, and once again, I just want to reiterate, I would take away 1 point because Adam lost. I think, once again, subverting expectations is what Kengan did best in the original series, and now it feels like we're doing our cardboard cookie cutter bullshit. Shonen, MC, friendship rival, Naruto, Sasuke, Naruto, Sasuke. We're doing that bullshit again. It's too expected, and it's boring. It's honestly boring because now we're expecting it, and I'm hoping that this is just a bump in the road and we're going to get better, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, so fact of the matter is that I would only take away 1 point for that, but the other points I take away from this is the fact that Mukaku is disappointing, I would argue. Maybe expected by some, but I expected more from him. That's just me. So a little disappointment there. And once again, the way Ryuki won is kind of nerfy bullshit. Rakash's palm working, fine dandy. The blood in the eyes and using the Gao technique, fine dandy. Getting the upper hand on Adam, fine dandy. But the way he gets the upper hand on Adam, no, that was weak sauce. I don't buy it. So that's the end of the review. Let's go on to the bracket, because now we have a very updated bracket, of course. We have an updated bracket here. We are at 3 wins and 1 loss. We got round 1, 2, and 4 correct, and round 3 incorrect. Now, I have locked in my next 2, and I had Koga picked. Guys. You already know I'm going with Sao Pang. However, if Rahito wins, which is a very big possibility because Sao Pang and Ryuki are both damaged. Heavily, you could argue. Heavily damaged. In fact, Ryuki shouldn't even be standing. But the fact of the matter is, looking at the bracket, is that if Rahito were to take a W in the left-hand bracket, I'm going to vote Rahito regardless. I've been saying that since the beginning of the Berserker Bowl. If Rahito beats Sao Pang or Cosmo, then he is going to be the champion. It's time for Rahito to shine, and I'm fine with that Dark Horse upset victory. Because that's what Kengan is all about. Kuroki Gensai, anybody. So the idea here is that if Sao Pang wins, then I'm going to have to make my choice. Now, in the right-hand bracket, as I said, I voted against Koga once and was wrong. But I feel like I got to vote against Koga again because I feel like the plot armor bullshittery is more in Ryuki's favor. It feels like to me the left-hand bracket is more original Kengan, and the right-hand bracket is more shonen, classic trope Kengan. So, main character wins due to tomfoolery. Main rival wins to even more bullshittery. And thus, I'm actually going to go against the grain because everybody expects the showdown to happen. Ryuki's in a very bad way, and Koga is in prime form. Everyone expects Koga to win his friend back. I think Ryuki puts Koga in a critical condition, and then, and honestly, I can see Rahito versus Ryuki, where Oma and Rahito have a man-to-man talk, and he goes, "Don't underestimate this fucker. Take this motherfucker down." So, right now, as I said, Sao Pang over Rahito in the left-hand bracket, and Gal Ryuki in the right-hand bracket are my 2 picks locked in. Once again, I can go off on my reasoning in the next chapter before the rounds start, in the next chapter review, but for right now, that's the review of the chapter. That's the updated bracket with the wins, losses, and my next predictions for the second tier or next round of the Berserker Bowl. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, grow a mustache, and donate to prostate cancer. Of course, Movember, right? Hence the mustache. Movember for the win. And yeah, drink responsibly as I always do. We'll see you guys back here next time for more Kengan Omega. Hoping for a better chapter next week. No, you guys are definitely too, because I don't think anybody really loved this chapter. Unless you're a Ryuki fan, and then, well, there's other things wrong with you, and we'll discuss that later. But anyways, have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.